Welcome to GovCast, connecting with federal IT's top decision makers. I'm your host, Sarah Seibert, and today we're joined by John Boerstler, Chief Experience Officer at the Department of Veterans Affairs, who will tell us more about how his agency is creating exceptional digital services for veterans. Over the past few years, VA has seen new opportunities to improve its digital experience with the passage of the PACT Act, development of VA's new health and benefits mobile application, and release of President Biden's executive order on customer experience. Boerstler will explain how all these factors are contributing to VA's overarching customer experience strategy and how the agency is leveraging lessons learned to improve future services. We'll also discuss what led him to his current role, how his time in the military contributed to his career path, and discuss how his experiences are helping to identify gaps and improve service delivery. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so to kick off the episode, I'd like to dive a little deeper into your background.
Sure.
Could you tell us a little bit about your history and what led you to the VA in your current position?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm originally from Texas, so apologize in advance for any howdies or y'alls that may come out during the interview. But joined the Marine Corps at an early age, like many of us do. Served for several years, especially during the height of the Iraq War, and got deployed all over the world. Came back and was actually given the opportunity to serve on a member of the House of Representatives staff, and got to really learn a lot more about the gaps in services for veterans and for transitioning service members and their families, and then how to better address that really at the community level. So then I started working for the mayor of Houston, which is the city where I'm from, a small cow town in Texas, if some folks have heard about it. But we were experiencing the highest volume of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans and their families returning to our area in the country. And so we built this essentially a system to ensure that we welcome them to our community as displaced workers, and most importantly, connect them to the appropriate services. And that one thing led to another. Served in a couple of different private sector and nonprofit and public sector roles that included, a mixture between human-centered design, customer experience, user experience, and how that's applied through technology. And found myself being contacted by this new administration, the Biden-Harris administration, coming in, and got this incredible opportunity to serve at VA as the Chief Veterans Experience Officer. So it's been an incredible almost 2 years.
That's great to hear. Yeah, congratulations on, starting the new role. It's been amazing to watch all of the new services that VA has rolled out and really making the digital experience front of mind.
Thank you.
What are some of the innovative projects and programs you've been working on recently?
Yeah, there's been probably too many to continue to think about. I think it's great because we have an opportunity to showcase a lot of what the work we've done later on this afternoon at a Senate Veterans Affairs Committee hearing. So I've been preparing for that, but especially as we think about the launch of the signing of the PACT Act. So this is the promise to address comprehensive toxic exposures, burn pits, Agent Orange, depleted uranium that veterans may have been exposed to in their service around the world and throughout many different generations of veterans. We want to make sure that all of our customer personas, whether those are Vietnam veterans that are more comfortable, calling our contact center, or younger Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, even Gen Zers that are coming out of the military that consume everything in a mobile ecosystem or on va.gov, our digital front door, making sure that they have wonderful experiences. So one recent project that we got to announce was the integration of 2 of our tier 1 contact centers, which really gave us more capacity on the backstage of how we're preparing for the influx of new customers from the PACT Act and those seeking benefits and care for their toxic exposures. But more on the front stage, it's much easier for customers to remember one number, 1-800-MY-VA-411, and then press 9 if they need to share concerns, or press 0 if they need to talk to one of our contact centers or contract representatives, and then be able to be connected to all the different pieces of the enterprise. So that we've seen an incredible response from our customers by doing that, and using not only the single front door on the telephonic side, but also chatbot integration. We're pulling all of the subject matter expertise on answering specific questions around PACT Act and around toxic exposure benefits and care, and we're putting that all into the brain that feeds the chatbot. So veterans and their families are able to go on 24/7 and not only call and talk to somebody, but also go online and get those answers if that's more convenient for them. We've also hit 1 million users on our mobile app, our flagship mobile app. So thank you. I know y'all have probably heard about that on this show before.
Yeah.
And it's something that came through the design, the human-centered design insights that we gleaned from our customers, asking for everything to be in one place, where they wanted to message their clinical providers, or find out more information about their upcoming appointments, or view all of their letters or records, or check on the status of a disability claim, or get help filing a disability claim. All of these different experiences we're putting into this mobile application. So we're very excited to celebrate the great work of our chief technology officers team, and in partnership with many other elements of the enterprise to really reach, I think, that younger population of veterans, which happen to trust us less. So veterans age 20 to 29, age 30 to 39. So those younger millennials, those Gen Zers, don't trust VA as much as veterans over 40, 50, 60, and 70. So how can we take the lessons learned and best practices for the older generations of veterans that love VA, that trust VA to deliver the care and benefits that they have earned, to those younger populations? And I think digital mobile experiences is the way forward.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and congratulations. I remember watching the demo of the app when you hard launched it a few months ago, and I could not believe how amazing it was. Like, you consolidated everything you need on an application. So that's awesome. I love watching how, you continue to grow that.
Yeah, and same here. And I think my job is to be the cheerleader, and to make sure more veterans are experiencing it. And we're working, like I said, hand in hand with Charles Worthington and Kurt Delbene, and their incredible teams over at our OINT and CTO shop.
Yeah, I look forward to watching how that continues to grow.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, how are you collaborating with VA's leadership? You mentioned the CTO and CIO, but across the board to help achieve greater access, outcomes, and experiences for veterans?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think using our V Signals, or Veteran Signals survey platform, it gives us that real time voice of the customer. So millions of surveys taken throughout the year across all 140 different business lines here at VA, ranging from healthcare to benefits to memorial services and beyond. That voice of the customer is consistently relayed to senior leadership, not only on a weekly dashboard that we put together, but just this morning, I was relaying updated survey analytics from our PACT Act specific survey. So how veterans were finding out about PACT Act toxic exposure benefits and care. What modalities they preferred to consume that information. What was their experience, and understanding what that voice of the customer is will allow us to improve the process and improve the way that programs are deployed now and in the future. So, and it's also helping senior leadership. So the secretary, the deputy secretary, the assistant secretaries, and undersecretaries really make, pivotal strategic level decisions using that quantitative and qualitative data. So we're doing a number of human-centered design sprints, once again, on improving the transition experience, that sometimes difficult transition from military to civilian life, and understanding the pain points, the bright spots, the moments that matter along that very pivotal customer journey, and improving that, increasing enrollment, increasing trust, as well as thinking about that compensation service, so that journey. So compensation, disability compensation, filing a claim with VA is one of the main front doors that veterans come through. And so how can we improve that experience so that they not only get connected to the healthcare that they have earned based on their disability rating, but also be connected to other programs like GI Bill education services, or home loan guarantee, or all of the incredible things that we offer here at VA. So it's more of the incorporating that kind of omni-channel customer experience, and then delivering it to senior leaders who may not be as ingrained with the voice of the customer experience, and the employee experience, which has become a very important thing for us too.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. As you're developing these strategies, how are you using President Biden's executive order on customer experience to inform where you're headed and guide some of those projects?
Yeah, the CXO, as we call it, the Customer Experience Executive Order, has given us a tremendous amount of excitement and opportunity to use the authorities that it gives federal agencies to work together across several different life experiences. So I kind of alluded to it earlier. We're now working with the Defense Department, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Labor, Department of Education, Department of Housing and Urban Development, as well as all six service branches, so six now including Space Force, to improve that customer journey and that sometimes difficult transition from military to civilian life. So 150,000 to 200,000 young men and women get out of the military every year and essentially become displaced workers because they're moving from Virginia to California or Missouri to Florida or Florida to Texas. And they need help in reconnecting with that community and finding a job, finding a new identity, discovering a new identity in some ways, and then ensuring that their families are successfully settled. And there's a big role that VA plays in that because we have the largest integrated health system in the country. We have regional benefits offices and cemeteries all over the United States to serve them. But we want that better connective tissue. So we want to improve that customer experience. So there is that warm handoff, and it's a more immersive experience that speaks to the younger populations that are in the military now and that will become our current and future customers for life. So across that life experience, that's really the customer experience executive order gives us the mobile and technological and digital experience authorities and dollars to improve that experience for these customers, and then work with our sister agencies to ensure that we're seeing that jointness across the board and that they know that there's VA will be there for the rest of their life.
That's great to hear. That unified approach, I'm sure, will, move the needle even further, and having all of those other outside agencies backing you is great. So, how are you scaling your four core capabilities, data, technology, tools, and engagement, to deliver improved services for veterans?
Yeah, no, thanks for that question too. And just a little bit more about the customer experience executive order and how this applies directly to our tools and technology is the login.gov. I think login.gov is such a great new GSA product that we are enabling and promoting throughout the enterprise because I think it's going to help us, when a service member, when somebody swears in to protect and defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, when they're 17 or 18 or 22 or 23 years old, they can then get access to everything they need on the military side in login.gov, and then carry that through not only with their experience with VA, but with IRS and Social Security and other federal agencies. So that's another great thing that the customer experience executive order gives us. And then our technology. So you mentioned our data, tools, technology, and engagement. So technology, we're scaling that up that through login.gov, through the mobile experience with our partners at the CTO's office and the CIO's team, as well as improving those digital experiences, making sure that we're getting that real-time feedback on va.gov and how veterans are navigating to care and to benefits and information so that they don't get lost in the shuffle. We're also, like I said, integrating those two contact centers, which makes so much sense from a customer-facing perspective. We're also thinking about data sharing with our state agencies, so state departments of Veterans Affairs, state workforce development agencies, sharing customer information when they elect to the community that they're returning to. So there's a lot of really innovative stuff going on with technology in addition to the chatbot, as I mentioned earlier. On the data side, we are so busy, creating new surveys, refining our older surveys, thinking about how we can red team the V signals, the veteran signals, and now the employee signals, the E signals, the capabilities. So we've asked our for-profit private sector CX best in class, counterparts to come in and red team it with us, as well as several former secretaries of Veterans Affairs who are very well versed in these arenas to make sure that we're on the right track, and that we're taking a moment to step back and think about how we're deploying these tools to glean better customer insights from our veterans and their families. So excited to do that and learn from them, and actually see what more of our private sector partners are doing, and then apply the lessons learned there. We're on the engagement side. We just relaunched all of our community veteran engagement boards and governors challenge teams under what we call the Vet Resources Community Network. So that's essentially, having a quarterly community of practice with 500 plus partners in the field that really kind of act as another customer communications channel to advise senior leadership, whether that's at the facility level or at the enterprise level, on how customers are experiencing VA programs and services from the community perspective. So once again, just another customer, another way of communicating with the customer. And then finally, on our tool side, we're training more VA staff than ever before. So we have expanded that team to say, this is the quantitative and qualitative customer data that we have. Now, when I go to a facility in Birmingham, Alabama, or San Francisco, California, and do a data deep dive saying, you're doing really well in these areas, you could use some additional help in these areas, in this area we really need to work on. And we deploy our teams, who are our customer experience strategists, to go out there and provide our own the moment training, our signature customer experience training, our I care core values training, or our tour of duty, military cultural competency training, to really, and then we can see those scores tick up over the following quarters. And so it's really almost like functioning like a consulting firm inside of VA, where we deploy these experts and then help and watch them, hand in hand over the next few months. So we've seen a lot of great success over that.
That's great to hear. And yeah, using that data, breaking down the silos to improve decision making, I think, is what we all want to work towards. So congrats on making progress in that area.
Thanks.
So what are some of the top successes you've had since starting the position? You mentioned you're coming up on your 2-year mark.
Yes. Yeah. I can't believe it. It feels like it's been more than 2 years, of course, but in a good way. I think that we've had some incredible successes, ranging from a lot of the items that I've kind of touched on here, but really thinking about what the opportunities that are in front of us, as we think about new customer acquisition and improving trust among the younger populations. We're really thinking about deep diving into that in the future, and we're really excited about that. I think most excited about what we've accomplished are really kind of ensuring that we, during COVID-19, ensuring that we are measuring the vaccine experience, because VA rolled out millions of vaccines to veterans and their families, and they had such an incredible experience. So how can we learn from that? So deploying surveys and human-centered design to better understand that process, thinking about different applications and ways that we can better address that transitioning population. I think we've done now a year's worth of that work, and it's taken this long to kind of get to this point, with another 2 years of work still ahead of us with our sister agencies, as I referred to. I think we're forming that community veteran engagement model, as I mentioned, the Vet Resources Community Network, because the pandemic really hurt a lot of these community groups that helped advise the facility leaders and senior VA leaders. So how can we better support them? How can we better support the facilities, the VA medical centers, outpatient clinics, and regional offices and cemeteries out in the field, by better enabling these groups and ensuring that they have these partnerships available to them. So there's tons of incredible work that I think the team has done. And a couple of other things in particular is our work with LGBTQ plus veterans and better understanding their journey, so that we can design for them and ensure that they have a world-class customer experience. Minority veterans, women veterans, ensuring that we understand what challenges and barriers and access to care that they have, and thinking about the data in particular. Over the last few years, like telehealth has become one of the trusted mediums for especially women veterans and younger veterans that may not be able to tear away from family and work to go to an in-person appointment. So I think really ensuring that experience is not only measured but relayed to senior leadership so that we continue to invest in programs like that enhance the customer experience.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like you're using a lot of lessons learned to inform your next steps. So I look forward to seeing how that grows. So moving forward, what will be a couple of your top goals? You mentioned a couple of them in your last answer, but are there any like sticking top three goals that you'll be working toward?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, the transition experience and improving that is going to definitely be one of them. And that I think that includes a lot of the data sharing elements with state departments of Veterans Affairs I mentioned, as well as our Gen Z research and making sure that we're designing for our future customers that 90% of the current military forces are Gen Z. And a lot of our systems, a lot of government systems aren't necessarily they don't understand the needs and how to outreach to them and how they engage. Thinking about how can we better arm our clinicians in the field and staff in the field with the ability to address the social determinants of health and health related social needs. So all the services, social services outside of the four walls of VA. So a veteran, for example, it's difficult for them to get to their next appointment if they have food security issues or transportation access issues or legal issues or employment issues. How can we better engage the networks that we've built in the field to securely refer those veterans out to those services so that they can come back to their next appointment and achieve greater health and economic outcomes? So there's a big integrated project team that's now being set up, under the leadership of our undersecretaries of health and benefits to really make sure that we're thinking about better data interoperability within VA and then data interoperability on behalf of our customers with our outside partners to really, in my view, bring a much more comprehensive, unified customer experience. Because if the government really only provides A, B, and C really well, but the customer needs D through Z, and that D through Z is provided by local and state government, social service agencies, how do we solve for that? How do we better enable our clinicians in the field? So we're thinking really creatively about that with our partners at Health and Human Services and many others. So lots of really neat things that I think can bring a better omni-channel customer experience.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And thank you so much for joining me today to dive into some of those projects you'll be working on. It's been great to have you on the show, and I can't wait to watch how you'll continue to transform VA. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah, and have an awesome day.
GovCast, along with Cybercast and HealthCast, is a production of GovCIO Media and Research. For more podcasts and to check out the other shows, head to govciomedia.com. Watch out for new episodes released every Tuesday and Wednesday across our shows. You can follow all of them in your favorite podcast platform, and if you like what you heard, make sure to let us know by leaving a review. And if you have any topics you think we should look into, contact us at newsletter@gcio.com.